Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to the Vagrant. So I'm a little confused here. I did some more research, as it were, for uh, this game, in that on Steam it says the developers O.T.K Games, which only has one other game on Steam, which is a seemingly perpetually in development game called Detained Too Good for School, which looks like a kind of interesting beat 'em up game in the similar vein of what is the other one that came out about a year ago? River City Ransom, River City Girls. The River City Ransom spin-off River City Girls, yeah. It looks like that, but there's maybe a demo for it and that's it. But it says on this screen, All Right reserves Beijing Bias Software LLC, without mentioning O.T.K Games. And that seems very weird, because you wouldn't be a Japanese company and then call yourself Beijing, as in Beijing, China, Bias Software. That wouldn't make any sense at all. The publisher for this game on Steam is called The Vagrant, so maybe this explains why the game is being re-released on consoles, or released for the first time on consoles, as sort of The Vagrant, is that perhaps there was some transfer of ownership through one reason or another. I don't know. There was no big controversy that I ever saw about this, from one company to another, which would require a different name. The description of this game on its menu does say that it is beautifully hand-drawn, hand-painted animation in a traditional style, which traditional is a weird word to use, certainly. Let's actually load and start playing. So, yeah, there seems to be some weirdness around this game as far as just the copyrights. There's no credits to pull up, like nothing, no credits here. So any credits that we would see probably are going to be at the very end of the game, and we'll have to try and remember to see that. And at the end of the day, it kind of just doesn't matter. Now, traditional style is a terrible way to describe any kind of animation, because a traditional Japanese style versus a traditional Chinese style, versus a traditional European, Middle Eastern versus a traditional, like, North American or South American, Central American, whatever different culture you're talking about is going to have a different traditional style in which they painted it. And unless you're inherently talking about the oldest cave drawings we've ever found, that is the only shared traditional style that would exist. And I'm not sure traditional is even the right word to use there in that case. So yeah, it's a real bad descriptor for how you're gonna say. And saying that these pictures are actually hand painted is not really believable. It could have been hand painted and scanned into a pixel thing, but you're not going to get the slight bounce back and forth with a traditional painting. There's just no way about it. The backgrounds can be traditionally painted. It is also worth pointing out, as far as the confusion of just what company actually made this and what company originally made it, and I have to lean towards a Japanese company, because this game only has full audio in Japanese, but it on Steam lists Chinese right under English. But does that mean anything on Steam? It really doesn't. Why is it important to know what country makes a game? Maybe it isn't at all. It may just be a little bit of xenophobia, or just stereotyping in general, but stereotyping actually kind of works in the video game world. If you have a game that's made in Russia, it tends to be a really low effort garbage game, because there just isn't that established amount of developers and programmers in Russia that could make a good game. If you have a game made in China, video games have been banned completely for over a decade, and they were banned. They're not banned at the moment, but they're almost completely banned at the moment. So if they're a whole decade behind as far as game development, it's no surprise that Chinese game developers tend not to make very modern looking games or very good games, generally speaking. Whereas a Japanese developed game has decades of history of game developers and animators in Japan, and a Western United States, North American developed game, which includes Canada, and I don't think there's a lot of developers in Mexico, but those games have a lot of history. Those game companies have a lot of history, so they tend to be a little bit better. But yeah, we're about to go into a boss fight. We should talk to this. We've been running around this area, and according to the Steam webpage, which really spoils some things, I guess, in telling you just how many areas, there are 6 areas. So we've been through, I think 1 so far already. So this would be the 2nd. That would leave us effectively near the end of the first act of a 3-act potential play, which who knows if the next area isn't going to be even bigger. There's certainly still a lot of room, and each of these squares doesn't actually have to connect to an actual into any real size. So each square could be a giant room, or each square could be a tiny room. But yeah, something infected the mind of this immortal king, and he turned into a monster and started eating people every time. And he is probably going to be kind of hard fight for me to do, since I've slept since the last time I've played this game, and so getting back into the button mashing is going to be a little bit of a warm-up. I'll never forget this pain. I will never forget this pain. I'll never forget this pain. I'll never forget this pain. Interesting. So that's all he had to say. Vivian. Finally, the crown of immortality. Oh, I guess maybe it's a case that that was just the king's ghost, and the king actually was dead. And we now see a skeleton with some kind of blade through the back of his head and through the crown. I would almost assume that what's going to happen here is that the skeleton is going to come back as an undead creature, or demon is going to take control of it, and that there'd actually be a fight here. It'd be very weird if there isn't a fight, but not super weird, because it was quite the journey. But yeah, we'll just have to go forward. Maximilian daring. You dare steal from the Esgonian king? I've never seen an undead creature so big, says Vivian. The sentence for theft is death. So it's just a whole bunch of corpses. And yeah, this is very Dungeons and Dragons-esque, medieval. Or I guess you might call it Gothic, with all the skeletons in the bottom. It's time you were overthrown, says Vivian. Guards detain the thief. And again, that was Japanese. Alright, so alright. So I guess the question here is, how much should we attack these guys? Eventually get key coins. Yep. It seems weird that you are... Alright, we want to avoid that attack. Again, though, this does just seem like you're mostly alright with just a little bit of dodging. This is like quite the large amount of enemies. I'm gonna run out of fight and potions. The problem now, I think, is we are not really using the rage in an effective manner. There. So, didn't really use the rage in an effective manner, and we potentially just need to look at our equipment. Alright, Snowflake here doing 86. We could do 96 to do a little bit more damage. But then you don't have the enhancements of critical rate increasing, critical rate increasing. Maybe that doesn't matter. Armor, we can, I suppose, enhance this, but we would need mana, and we don't have mana. So unless we were going to just start to try and dissolve all of these weapons, I don't think that there's anything to do there. Increase defense by 10 might be better to decrease damage by 10% in this case. And then potions, I guess we need to start with medium potions to begin with. And if we get to the point where we're just taking rage potions, you don't really have the best of abilities to pause the menu in the middle of the fight. Alright. We'll just press the buttons. Alright. So that was very useful. Alright. And so we'll run right into that food. Now the danger here certainly is, did I... Yeah, I just died because I didn't pull the trigger fast enough on using a potion. I think that worked fairly well, though, so let's load again. Let's change our equipment again. Let's this time talk to this guy and then go ahead and just save. I could potentially cook too. you get a kind of coin sound effect there. But yeah, I question whether or not that second time the game was just going easier on me, or if I was just doing a better job. Like, my dodge ability still seems really lackluster here. And yeah, you just kind of don't see it coming fast enough. And these small potions are going to lose their value fairly quickly, so you kind of hope you aren't going to pick them up after a while. Yeah, we've got food right behind us, so we can just walk back here, pick them up. This guy is just really close to dying. So it does seem like you pretty much just avoid the infinitely spawning enemies in favor of attacking the main guy and just getting right up in his grill. And that seems like the way that fight goes. Yep. This is a very nice animation style. Arguably, it just has more polish to it. And I think potentially this is a problem that I may generally just have with paintings and things like that, is that there is, even between the same artist, a wide variety between like one painting and the other, just on how much time they spend on it and how much they actually care about each individual picture and how good they are at being consistent. I would say probably half of the people who are traditionally trained in painting do a wide variety of other art styles and copy some of the famous greats. So it probably takes a good painter a lot of years to eventually evolve into something fairly consistent. And most great painters don't actually even stay consistent throughout their entire career, and they tend to have different periods in which they draw things slightly different. But yeah, we have a nice picture here. Again, overemphasizing the bikini for not a good reason, and you have a big crown here and her long blonde hair. Not a lot going in the background, certainly. Vivian says he consumed the souls and powers of his people. It must be true that the king has no power without his followers. What the hell have I gotten myself into? I have to take charge. Hollowborn doesn't deserve to have power over my life. There must be something I can do with this curse. Focus, Vivian. See through the rune stream. Arg, damn, the seal's carved directly into my heart. The tall tree witch doesn't seem to get along with Hollowborn. Hell, she seems to hate her very existence. Perhaps that hatred can help me. So, Vivian does know more about being a rune warden than we were first introduced, which there was really no reason to hide that backstory and characterization of the character to the player. But I'm not sure I can trust her either. Damn, how did I get out of this? Suck it up, Vivian. The only direction is to move forward. She has nice abs there, but you didn't even really get to see the abs in that picture because it was obfuscated by the text. Alright, well, I guess if all of that worked, we probably should just leave everything as it is. The only thing that potentially we might consider changing is this. Just going from a freeze at a point of impact weapon at 96 to a default 115 damage weapon. I really question how much variety is going to be in a lot of these. And it does feel like at some point we're going to get some kind of increased ability to dispose of every time or sell weapons. The rats feel pretty small now. I guess maybe this is a bit of an indication that oops. But there was a potion that he was doing some kind of dangerous experiments, and so we're trying to have some storytelling through level design. Did something specifically cause these tiny rats to drop food there, or was that just a kind of coincidence? I don't know if getting poisoned a second time really does anything. You'd think with the little poison bubbles that it might show the actual damage that is happening to us. And so we go here, and then this brings us all the way here, which I guess there might have been a ledge that you could have landed on. You still have a lot of enemies here that are taking 2 or 3 hits to die, and it seems weird that the specific barrels are taking so many hits to be broken. And I guess the only question to ask is, if we went this way, would this activate any kind of rift? I guess this was probably just giving you a second opportunity to investigate that area. I was thinking this square was the square that is actually 2 rows down to the right, where the ghost of the daughter was. But that wasn't the case. And any amount of grinding, any little extra you run into, seems to work very nicely as far as just getting you massive amounts of mana, which does scare me into thinking that there isn't much of a game here, or as much of a game as it might seem. We are getting to the point where leaving a few coins doesn't even matter. So we left Camden the boy here, and he still doesn't feel quite like a character I care about. You're back, how was it? I got the crown, let's rest a bit and then be on the way. Are you hurt? I can perform a healing spell. No, I'm fine, and I'm not sure I trust your healing spell. What's that supposed to mean? You're Hollowborn's apprentice. I'm not sure I should trust my wounds to either of you. Fine. Don't take my healing. I hope you enjoy your pain. To be honest, I really don't. This was not an easy task. What happened to this place? The king went mad. The academy conspired war. Grand betrayal. Something like that. Stop telling lies about the academy. What could you know? You're just an ignorant peasant. Yes, just an ignorant peasant. What could I possibly know? You make me so mad. I feel like if that was voiced, you'd get a lot more tone and intonation in that conversation to the point where it would feel more like something I actually cared about. I don't know if I could ever really care about just like the visual appearance of the boy enough to care about him as a character, because he does just like look like a generic Final Fantasy NPC character. I guess there's no danger in saving, and honestly I don't think there's anything I want to go back to the first village to purchase. Here's the Battleship Brigade character. Would anything I have particularly sell for a lot? Gold necklaces could get me thousands and thousands of items. Selling swords would sell us for gold. Selling this would sell for gold. It just doesn't seem like there's a value in that. We need probably mana way more than we need gold. Even though we get a ridiculous amount of mana anyways. I wouldn't be surprised if this character is from a different game and this character is from a different game also. I seem to vaguely recall them from some other game. Yeah, it would be fairly ridiculous to buy any of these items. So we are just waiting. And the price on these is nothing compared to what we have. We could, I guess, maybe see. No, but again, it's just you get money for it. What I think I can make an argument for is potentially buying potions. HP, 40% of your HP, medium potion is not terrible, but we really should be getting towards large. And again, like selling a potion gets you nothing back. I just kind of feel like the whole economy of this game is broken. That it's just not balanced well. Perhaps it would make more sense if I wasn't playing on normal mode, and if there's just like there is no new game plus concept, and you would have to just play this game a second time from the beginning, from scratch. Maybe then it would make more sense. We do now have the double jump as an ability, and it doesn't really mean anything for most of these areas. I guess maybe I could double jump over some of these barrels or just not blow them up, but yep. We're really hoping that the further areas are going to be more focused around the idea of more platforming, but it's weird the game didn't give you a double jump instead of forcing you to buy it. The screen was shaking there, and I don't know if that was because I was taking damage in the middle of this cutscene. Angry Man says, "Don't ever ask me to do something like this for you again. Now take them and do your job, or I'm gonna kill you." "Please calm down, my love," says the woman. Tall Tree Witch says, "Hee hee hee. Easy boy, hand me that." "Yes, good, good. This goes here, and that one there. Oh, I nearly forgot. Hee hee, we're done. Here. I have 2 flasks of cure. Give that to me. Hee hee, go easy on me, boy. One really should respect their elders. Elders, hee hee hee. How do I use it? The flask is for you. If you drink it, the evil spirit inside of you will possess you completely and you will transform into a deadly beast. Well, that doesn't sound like curing anything. What? But the curse will be unable to harm your pretty little love. So, an interesting setup here in that the cure is you sacrifice your humanity to save your love. Boy, does that feel like a more interesting story that they should have gone more into depth with instead of just kind of teasing it now. Perhaps they'll go further into depth with it for a little bit, but if it's like the first story where Lucia was just running away to meet her love, that it really didn't have a lot of plot twists in it. It was just the beginning, a bunch of fighting, and then the end. Mark, please don't even think of such things. My life is nothing without you. Anna Marie, and what about the other flask? If the first flask is not to your liking, then you and your lover may each drink half of the second flask. And what trickery would happen then? Your lover's life force would pass through the potion to slow down your curse. She may not live too much longer, but it would help with the curse. So the girl is the curse, you treacherous hag. You tricked us. You damned us. I'll rip you to pieces. Please, my love, don't. I have to do something before he murders the Tultree witch. Well, I guess we still need her help. And this was the big, muscly guy who was drawn very weirdly. Which seems fairly obvious he's going to turn into a monster at this point. Lay a finger on the witch and you won't get out of here alive. And Rune Warden, do you mean to threaten me? Mark, it's pointless to stay here any longer. Let's spend what little time we have left together in peace. Even if it's just but one day, it'll be the happiest day I could ask for. I guess my eyes are working a little bit better today than they were yesterday. It seems a little easier to read. But the hag, she tricked us. I have to put an end to her lies. Humph. What a waste it is to blame others for your own problems, hee hee. My darling, this is our fate. Again, they keep saying this is our fate, which really implies at the end of the game our character might die and it'll just be her fate. Arg. You have what you came from, leave. This is far from over, hag. And you, Rune Warden. I won't forget you either. It seems you saved my life, Rune Warden. He's quite the brute. Surrender, Markham. You are to be punished for your deed, here and now. Who's saying that? We don't fear your meek powers, and returning to the ring will not ease your punishment. Now die. I think Markham is the guy outside, so it seems like somebody else has come to attack him. Hee. Another lovely day, isn't it? Fighting sounds outside. So, here we have another artistic painting, and you can see not quite as good. There's definitely a distinct difference now looking on the right of Vivian. Doesn't quite seem like there's as much effort put into it because they had to draw all these other characters on the left. Although, noticeably, they have taken some lazy shortcuts here by drawing 2 of the characters facing away from the screen so you don't have to draw any facial features. Not that the artist is particularly bad at drawing facial features. It's always hard. And then the other 2 characters are wearing masks, and that's a great shortcut. Also, They're wearing gloves and cloaks, so you don't have to get too in detail with their outfits or drawing fingers. So Vivian, I suppose, is saying, "Arg, damn. Arg, we died together. How can I ask for more?" Anna Marie, you're not without your sins. Markham will be executed here, but you will be brought back to the academy to await trial with your treacherous father. So these are academy people, and we're getting more of an indication that the academy really is evil. And almost certainly you'd assume that Markham would then want to drink the first potion, turn into a monster, save Anne Marie, and then kill these two academy people. If Markham couldn't defeat these academy dogs, I'll certainly have to avoid them. Who are they? Hounds sent from the academy, hee hee hee. Exclamation, exclamation, exclamation point. So, more and more the boy is having his reality shattered, or his perception shattered as far as the academy goes. I was saving this for later, but your academy pigs pushed me too far. I killed the Kuma Smith. I will redeem myself with my own flesh and blood. I'm not sure if we're ever going to see the Kuma Smith or whoever that was. Anna Marie, live for me. No, Mark, no. Manly sharp voice. What in the... Arg. Now we're getting to the point where it's just a straight black screen. Just... yeah. Feels like there should be some animation here. That this is an action scene. Shouldn't just be black. Monster roaring. You see this in a lot of visual novel Asian type games too, where they have only a certain number of still images they can use, so they stretch it out as much as possible. What in the devil is that? It seems he chose the first flask. He doesn't even sound human, and he doesn't deserve to. That shameless thief stole from a god, says the tall tree witch. Anna Marie, live for me. So was the Mana Smith or Kuma Smith a god? Probably. Or something like that. My love, where are you going? Please don't leave me. Roaring. The roar fades alongside heavy footsteps. The roar fades alongside heavy footsteps. Are you hurt? Dear lady, please, I'm begging you. My only hope. Find my husband, find my Markham. Here, take this. It is my most cherished ring. It is said to banish evil. It is all I have. Please take it and find him for me. So we get a zoomed in image of an item, which that's the first time we've seen that in potentially 4 hours of gameplay. I can barely finish a quest before another one presents itself, almost like a video game. I have to help her, tall tree witch. Please wait for me. What a self-righteous rune warden. Do so, but be warned that the boy's hatred and anger provides him with greater powers of the great power of a mother bear. I'll keep that in mind, especially since those were not average battle mages. I feel like I've known this rune warden for years. No, they're all the same. Santiago, Vivian, no. I can't see it in her eyes. Her eyes tell me I can see it in her eyes. Her eyes tell me everything. So, apparently there's some connection between the tall tree witch and Vivian that Vivian seems not to remember. And so now we're getting more backstory? No, good. Because I really wouldn't want more backstory. This ring is my sole possession. What the hell happened here? It's probably not a real problem to come in here and break some things. But there's nothing really up here. Alright. So now we're going north to fight another battle. Item. Let's see. Accessory. Interesting, we got this ring, but it's not coming under the category of a key item. So I guess story items in general just don't count. His insides are mostly outside, but that's the fate of an academy dog deserves. Dead beyond dead. I guess maybe you can now try to get to higher items, but I would need probably a triple jump to be able to reach that. I did reach it, but with some effort. I don't really feel was this area looking this way, so fungusy? I just don't really feel like the last boss fight was anticlimactic enough to justify moving to another boss fight this quickly. I wonder if this game gives you rewards based on your combos too. That is a possibility, and then that would potentially like make a real good argument towards playing the game on easy for the first time, just to get really good at the combos and unlock more combos. But the game, I think, generally tells you you should be locking combos in anyways. I'm just gonna save and move on. It's a little too early to end an episode. We've still yet to find a chest that feels like it actually is locked, unless all these chests are locked and you would get considerably more gold out of them. Otherwise, this is incredibly dark, and it's probably setting us up for somewhat of a boss fight. Well, that's weird, to start in darkness and then move towards light. Alright. Seems like they just felt like there was a need for more of a boss fight. And I could arguably see trying for a freeze the enemy in this fight. Well, you could probably use that in any boss fight, but I bet this guy moves around a lot more than the previous fight, because that would be really one of the only ways you could differentiate this. Text just says question mark. By the gods, look at that thing, and here it comes. I saw it transformed into a giant bear. Then a slow fade out. Alright. I think maybe this is more of a dodge experience than I really should be doing. Yeah. It definitely does seem like this is, you miss it, you dodge it, and then you fight it more. It seems to have a swipe down effect, so you probably don't want to try and get in the air. Come on. And the piercing shot is probably not the most useful. Like, I'm starting to see an argument for more rage appear. Because that would potentially help. I could definitely see being able to pull off a few more rage attempts. This does feel like a game that at some point may have enemies with entire health bars that are 4 or 5 times overfilled. Well, they're already 4 times overfilled, so I could see a potential case where we run into double that, and there's somebody with 8 to 10 life bars full on top of their defense and their attack being very high. And this just doesn't feel like a character that actually you could get a lot of combos on. So yeah, you seem to have a kind of counterattack effect where if you got 3 or 4 hits on him, he'd either move out of the way or you would bounce off of him on his attack. Ugh. So this is probably a great example of an inconsistency in art style that really should have been addressed. Like, they seemingly started this game from the wrong end. Like, they came in through the window instead of coming in through the front door, from the idea of let's have hand-painted still images for the cutscenes, when they should have said, hey, let's start with this animated art style and focus only on this art style and get rid of the hand-painted cutscenes. You still would have hand-painting potentially for the concept art of the characters and character designs, character sheets, or character reference sheets, and then you would make 3D models from that, and you could still have hand-painting on the backgrounds, which that seems to work fairly well. But when I actually want to see interactions, I want to feel like I'm seeing the same character every time I see people, and you're just not really getting that. And we're also getting a lot of dialogue here. Miss Runemorden, thank you for your kind mercy. Do not feel bad for us. We deserve this end, but now we can die. I can die with Markham. This is the most merciful gift I could ask for. What do you say? Why do you say that? Markham slayed the god of power, and I betrayed my family for him. In a lot of ways, this is just kind of the same theme of betraying family, although previously it was betraying family to run away for love instead of being an arranged marriage. Which, if they're going to do variations on a theme, then I have to wonder if at some point Vivian is going to end up betraying her family, which is possible because we may find out that Vivian's father is in charge of the academy or some big bad boss. Slayed the god of power, and I betrayed the family for him. My family for him. I guess the lower lowercase g god concept here is that there are creatures of some sort that they would be calling gods, but not a immortal, all-powerful beings, if they can be slain. He stole the Dispel Wing from the Academy because a mage claimed I was cursed. Now it seems that the curse was from the god, so it's no wonder the ring has no effect on me. I wonder if this means we can put on the ring and dispel the curse on Vivian. We have no use for it. It's but a bauble to someone cursed by a god. You should have it. Goodbye, and thank you, Miss Rune Warden. Annie, my Anne-Marie. I would also say, in stories, it doesn't help to have characters with pet names or different names. Either call her Annie the whole time, which is fine, or at most call her Annie for every instance except for right now when you surprise and say my Anne-Marie. But even then it's just kind of confusing for no reason. The game is better, stories are better to keep the names in line and consistent. Annie, my Anne-Marie, are you there? I'm here, my love, and I always will be. I love you. And so he just dies in her lap, in her arms. Which, when you have a kind of sad scene like this, and your character Vivian on the left is just in her bikini, and the character girl on the right is in the low-cut cleavage, that fetish then really just scratches in a completely different direction from the emotion that you should be trying to evoke at the moment. I wonder if anybody's tried to do something like Shakespeare in the buff, in the nude, or in a porn type thing. They probably parodied it, but doing it seriously, I bet, would not work. And the only way you could really address that, I suppose, and I feel like most games like this should probably address this by starting with a regular outfit and then allowing the player to switch to the kind of joke fetish outfit, even if it's just at the very beginning of the game, because it just feels off. And at a certain level, I guess this also speaks something to just my own pre-concepts too, because if I was just totally 100% comfortable with people, ladies walking around in bikinis in every situation and every scenario, I wouldn't be constantly drawn to the image and thinking about the fact that she's in a bikini. It would just be so commonplace it wouldn't even be a thought. There is certainly in African tribes a lot of toplessness, that it's just a natural thing where day to day, every day, you're seeing topless tribes women, and nearly naked, if not almost completely naked, tribes of men, and a lot of tribes too, and it just becomes the natural thing for those societies. Goodbye was the last sentence there. Okay, so on that, can we unlock more defense? No. Can we unlock this? Yep, we're kind of just trying to, I guess, save our money. Yeah, save up to 5,000 mana and unlock a gold drop plus 5%. I could get almost 20 more HP, which is actually a fairly significant amount of HP. As far as key items. Still doesn't feel like we've got the ring. Annie, my love, where are you? I'm here, my love. Come, let's leave this place. I have to make sure that you are cured. Yes, my love. Let's leave. Let us leave together to a place where no one can find us. Annie, my dear Annie. May you both find solace in your final journey. That's where that ends. So we will walk over here and see if there's anything of interest, and there isn't. There is definitely a danger that the game is going to get bored with us going through dungeon environments and instead have these shorter trips to boss battles. Now we're back to cutscene. To have someone in your life like that who would give their everything for you, I envy that. If only I had. What am I thinking? I don't have time for such nonsense. I have a curse to break. I wonder if the ring really works. So we put it on and it starts glowing. I can't believe it actually works. I have to hide this from Camden and the Green Witch, Hollowborn. I could just escape from all of this now, but I remember reading about the bracelet of Zoe in the book my father left me. It's worth checking up on. I will have my revenge, Hollowborn. I will watch the life drain from your eyes as I do so. That seems a little violent. I mean, she did curse her, but it seems like killing somebody just for being manipulated is an escalation of some level. But at a certain point, taking away someone's freedom is an issue. So this is an interesting point to point out that didn't refill my health. So HP 5. We don't really have a lot of food, but we're not eating a lot either, so I think though we're going to end up going to a store. So eating the cheapest food to refill our health and rage now is the right move. Let's see, we're either going to go through more cutscenes or we're going to the Wesendeath Kingdom. There's only one other area. It can only be like 2 screens. So this may be, man, every time. This may just be a boss fight. And we still are running into real problems. Like, the thing to sell here would be our soldiers' hands. And let's see, if we dispose of this, it gives us 2 mana, which is not really enough. It gave us 5 mana that time. Maybe this is a case where it gave us 24 mana. Maybe you just get better and better at disposing of things. That gave us 5 mana. 5 mana. That gave us 5 mana for a Tower Watch. Hmm. 12 mana. I don't want to get rid of this one, but I think I would have to enhance this to justify using it more. I guess I can get rid of this one. 11 mana. Okay, enhance for 275 mana. That does 88 damage. And that seems like that also, in enhancing it, put a thing in there. A rune. HP combo regain. Combo HP regain. Crit level up 1 or max HP level up 1. Okay, so this would reduce our attack by a fairly significant amount, 24 points, but it would increase our crit rate up quite a bit, from 2% to 3.5%, plus it would have a freezing ability, which this one doesn't have. Let's see. When we dispose of this, we're getting 5 mana. When we dispose of this, we're getting 2 mana. And we'll enhance that to get better defense. And just equip that, since it does seem like there is just a real value in using the runes instead of them sitting around and doing nothing. For the fairly large amount of gold we have, though, I can't imagine that we're going to go and like buy equipment then dispose of it to get mana. Seems like it's way easier and smarter to not do that. We paid for one of these amulets, but they do exactly the same things. And interestingly, we can't sell them, so, or you can't dispose of amulets. You don't have that submenu. A HP potion X. It does seem like that's the thing we should spend our gold for when we get to a storefront. I suspect we'll probably unlock new skills, but maybe not. That may be the entirety of the game, which arguably then it shouldn't be its own submenu. Some of this definitely could be better designed. And since we spent some mana there, then I could reduce the power upper damage cost, which would have been helpful. I could try to work towards this. I could do very little otherwise. 2,000 for 5 plus 5 attack is probably way more valuable than spending 2,000 to just increase your gold drop by 5%, or to buy things 5% cheaper. See, it's like 10,000 here, 5,000 here, so I need 15,000 mana before this started to make sense. It makes way more sense to instead upgrade your defense or attack and get that, because you're going to constantly want your attack to be higher, and you're going to constantly want your wants your defense to be higher. Our journal now is scrolling down quite a bit. And we fought 4 enemies of what seems like about 20. And as far as the 8 Monsterpedia otherwise, it seems to me like we've seen at least a third of all the characters. Though there's still really no telling how far this really is scrolling down. What I'd have to do is I'd have to do this and then count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. There's 25 spots or so. I may be off by 1 of monsters at the bottom here. We are definitely not doing any more tutorials, but the tutorial still does very much betray how much subsystems are in this game when it doesn't quite make sense to have that many subsystems. Alright, well, we went really long in the last recording, so now is definitely the time to not do that in this recording. So that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.